He's not afraid. He's not afraid of the charges.
That's Diddy's lawyer talking tough, but let's be real. Diddy's got every reason to be shook. This trial ain't looking good for him, and the pressure's starting to show. Word is, Diddy and his team made a wild statement that left the judge heated. It's starting to look like this trial is about to go from bad to worse. So what did Diddy and his lawyers say that pushed things over the edge? Let's break it all down. Judge Arun Subramanian's mounting frustration. The legal chess match between hip-hop mogul Sean Diddy Combs and the federal justice system is heating up like a mic battle at Summer Jam, with tensions between the bench and defense escalating to levels that got the whole courtroom watching. As the Southern District of New York attempts to hold the bad boy founder accountable, Judge Arun Subramanian finds himself increasingly caught between maintaining courtroom order and dealing with what many see as deliberate provocations from Combs' high-powered legal squad. The trial of the music industry heavyweight, which kicked off with jury selection on May 5, 2025, has been straight fire from day one, with U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian catching major heat from members of Combs' defense team. Judge Subramanian, who made history as the first South Asian judge appointed to the Southern District of New York back in March 2023, is now front and center in this high-stakes legal drama that's got the internet buzzing and courtroom reporters scrambling. The situation went from 0 to 100 real quick when attorney Mark Geragos, who's not officially repping Diddy, but is consulting with the defense team and representing Mama Combs in separate legal matters, decided to wild out on his podcast, Two Angry Men, which he co-hosts with TMZ founder Harvey Levin. Geragos caught major side-eye when he referred to the all-female prosecution team as a six-pack of white women, a comment that had Twitter fingers working overtime and legal analysts shaking their heads at the racial and gender implications. On May 6, 2025, before jury selection could even properly pop off, prosecutors from the Southern District were big mad, urging Judge Subramanian to check Diddy's squad about running their mouths outside the courtroom. The judge wasn't having it and pulled Geragos into his robing room for a private convo, where he straight up called the comments outrageous and made it clear that this would not be tolerated in any court from any lawyer, anywhere across the nation. Subramanian wasn't playing, emphasizing that such remarks from an officer of the court could compromise the whole trial's integrity. The judge kept it a buck, warning Geragos he'd be watching and listening to make sure nobody was out here trying to mess with the jury pool, adding with a touch of shade that Geragos had just gained one more listener for his podcast. This exchange, though brief, showed the growing tension between letting lawyers speak their minds and keeping the legal process on point in a case that's got the whole culture watching. Geragos, who's previously held it down for celebs like O.J. Simpson and Michael Jackson, tried to justify his comments by saying they were just an observation about how the prosecution team stacks up, especially considering Diddy, a black defendant, feeling targeted. He suggested race could be an undercurrent in the trial, though he clarified it wouldn't be the main defense angle. Geragos also took shots at the rules against lawyers making public statements, claiming they'd been perverted over the years and could mess with the defendant's right to a fair trial. Judge Subramanian wasn't buying what Geragos was selling, making it clear that lawyers need to watch their mouths regardless. But Geragos' podcast rant wasn't a one-off situation. On the same episode, he was out here discussing key evidence expected at trial, further raising eyebrows about whether he was trying to influence potential jurors. This had prosecutors in their feelings, asking the judge to step in and put an end to these extrajudicial shenanigans. The judge's frustration isn't just about Geragos, though. Diddy's defense squad, led by attorneys Mark Agnifilo and Tenny Geragos, is deep with 6 to 8 lawyers, including Xavier R. Donaldson, who joined the team just before things got real. Their aggressive game plan, including trying to block that infamous 2016 Cassie Ventura video and begging for trial delays, has repeatedly been shut down by Judge Subramanian. For instance, on April 19, 2025, he curved their request to push the trial back by 2 months, basically saying they were too late with that noise. These rulings got the defense big mad, creating mad tension as Subramanian kept shutting down their attempts to flip the script. On the first day of jury selection, Combs rolled up to Manhattan Federal Court looking nervous, reportedly telling Judge Subramanian straight up, "I'm a little nervous," which makes sense considering he's facing potential life if convicted. Eyewitnesses caught him dapping up his attorneys, rocking a dark sweater over a white shirt with a gray beard, looking nothing like the flashy mogul we're used to seeing popping bottles at parties. During jury selection, Subramanian had to deal with mad issues raised by the defense, like potential jurors who might have been exposed to all the media coverage or documentaries like The Fall of Diddy. While he didn't co-sign all their objections, his detailed questioning of jurors shows he's trying to keep things fair, even with all the outside noise coming from the defense team. The judge also had to check all attorneys and witnesses about staying professional, especially after the defense got in their feelings about an alleged victim's attorney going on TV to boost their client's credibility. This shows Subramanian isn't just frustrated with Geragos, but with the whole circus that's threatening to derail what should be a serious criminal trial. Legal experts who've been following the case point out that Subramanian's frustration is next level because of all the media attention. The judge has made several crucial calls, like denying Diddy bail multiple times and greenlighting key evidence, including that damning 2016 video of Combs assaulting Cassie Ventura. His style has been described as balancing strict legal procedures with occasional moments of lightness, like when he referenced The Lord of the Rings while talking about all the celebs involved in the case. The beef between Geragos and Subramanian blew up on social media and in the press, with outlets like NBC News, Reuters, and the Daily Mail all reporting on how the judge checked Geragos for his outrageous comments. The Daily Mail even called it a behind-closed-doors showdown, highlighting how heated things got. TMZ, where Geragos drops his hot takes, also covered all the drama, including the judge's decisions during jury selection. Defense tactics, frustrating the court and prosecution. As Sean Diddy Combs' legal team continues to go hard in the paint, their arsenal of defense tactics has the Southern District of New York prosecutors and Judge Aaron Subramanian looking like they're ready to throw hands. From courtroom flexes to social media plays, Diddy's squad is pulling out all the stops to beat these federal charges, creating a level of frustration that's palpable every time court is in session. One of their main plays has been challenging whether the charges against Diddy should even exist. Combs' attorneys have filed motions to dismiss specific charges, particularly that transportation to engage in prostitution count, claiming it's racially motivated and arguing that no white person has ever been the target of a remotely similar prosecution. This move tries to flip the script by suggesting the prosecution is coming with that selective enforcement energy, shifting attention away from what Diddy allegedly did to why the government is really coming for him. The defense is also going hard at the evidence itself. They've claimed that the 2016 surveillance video showing Combs putting hands on Cassie Ventura was distorted or altered and could unfairly confuse and mislead the jury. Even though Judge Subramanian ultimately said the video was coming in, the defense's efforts tried to plant seeds of doubt about what the jury will eventually see, a classic move to create reasonable doubt before the trial even pops off. Perhaps their most eyebrow-raising strategy is what the streets are calling the swinger defense. Attorney Mark Agnifilo has been arguing that those alleged freak-offs were just consensual swinger activities, saying the swinger lifestyle is common and that everyone involved was grown and chose to participate. This defense is trying to normalize what went down and shift the conversation from coercion to consent, potentially undercutting those trafficking charges.
But those activities in the lifestyle is not criminal. What was notable today, what my partner Mark said in court, is they never once said that these women didn't consent to what happened. Not once.
Can they all have consented, or were they minors and therefore the consent doesn't apply?
No charges relating to minors. None. None.
This whole everything was consensual angle goes beyond just the swinger narrative. The defense keeps hammering that Diddy's relationships, including with alleged victims, were all consensual, describing accusers as former long-term girlfriends whose private business was defined by consent, not coercion. This move tries to paint the accusers as cap artists who are now reframing relationships they willingly participated in, a strategy that's worked in other celebrity cases, but which prosecutors say ignores the power dynamics and alleged threats in play. The defense also seems to be playing the delay game. Combs' team previously pushed for a 2-month delay in the trafficking case, which Judge Subramanian wasn't having. These kinds of requests buy time to get their facts straight, gather more evidence, or maybe work out a plea deal. Delays also potentially wear down prosecution resources or cause the public to lose interest. Similarly, Combs' squad has repeatedly tried to get him out on bail, arguing he's not trying to run and is ready to face the charges, despite getting curved multiple times. In March 2025, Tenny Geragos went on News Nation's Chris Cuomo show to defend her client, emphasizing how Diddy was actually cooperating with authorities.
He got on a plane and he came here. And that's an extraordinary move for a defendant who's been under investigation that he's been aware of for at least 6 months. He came to the very jurisdiction that is investigating him, and he said, I'm here, I want to surrender, let me surrender. He's fighting, he's innocent, and he's gonna be able to show it.
Innocent means he didn't do any of the wrong things. Not guilty means they can't make the case.
He's
right?
innocent.
The race card is definitely in play too. Mark Geragos' controversial podcast comments about the prosecution being a six-pack of white women were presented as just pointing out perceived bias, suggesting Diddy as being unfairly targeted as a black man. This move tries to rally public support by framing the prosecution as prejudiced, tapping into very real concerns about racial disparities in the justice system, though Judge Subramanian called this particular comment outrageous and out of pocket. The defense has also accused prosecutors of using using aggressive and deceptive media tactics to trash Combs' reputation, claiming this biases public perception and makes a fair trial nearly impossible. By framing the case as a media witch hunt, they're trying to shift focus away from the actual allegations. Meanwhile, prosecutors clap back that it's Diddy himself who's been trying to influence public opinion through coordinated media campaigns. Diddy has assembled what some are calling the Avengers of legal defense. Mark Agnifilo, known for handling complex criminal cases, leads the squad. Alexandra Shapiro, a former clerk for Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg, brings credentials from high-profile cases. Brian Steele, who got Young Thug a W in a RICO case, adds strategic muscle. This stacked team is designed to overwhelm prosecutors with legal firepower, a luxury that comes with Diddy's bank account. The defense has also brought in specialized talent for jury selection. Combs reportedly hired jury consultant Linda Moreno, who previously helped Wesley Snipes duck felony tax fraud convictions. Her job is to analyze potential jurors' backgrounds and reactions to maximize the chances of a favorable verdict, a move that some online critics call manipulation, but which is standard practice in major trials. The defense has been particularly savage in going after victim credibility. By highlighting that some accusers, like Ventura, were in long-term relationships with Combs, the defense suggests their allegations are after-the-fact reinterpretations of consensual situations. This approach tries to muddy the waters around coercion and abuse claims, painting accusers as money-hungry or vengeful rather than truthful. DJ Academics, who's been keeping it real about the case on his platform, broke down how he thinks the defense will approach the situation.
If the only victim here that they have and they're going to go to trial with is Cassie, if I'm Diddy, I'm like, oh, we're going to beat this. You know why? We're going to contextualize everything. You know what they're going to do? Yeah, we did beat her ass. Yeah, that happened.
In a power move that had legal observers shook, Combs curved a plea deal in April 2025, signaling either confidence in his defense or determination to clear his name through trial. This high-stakes decision keeps the case moving toward trial, allowing his team to continue challenging evidence while maintaining his not guilty plea. By rejecting the plea, the defense forces prosecutors to prove their case beyond reasonable doubt in court. During jury selection, which kicked off May 5th, 2025, the defense has been going hard, scrutinizing potential jurors for bias. For example, they raised concerns about a juror who worked for HBO, which dropped a documentary called The Fall of Diddy, worried she'd already made up her mind about the case. This tactic aims to secure jurors who might be more sympathetic to Diddy's side of the story. Some analysts think these tactics might actually be working. DJ Academics shared this take.
Even though, I'm gonna be honest with you, the government case, right now it concerns me. And again, I'm saying this before the superseding indictment. Because I believe if Diddy took this to trial currently, I think Diddy has a good shot of beating it. He does.
The defense's relationship with the court has gotten extra complicated because of witness tampering allegations. Prosecutors have accused Combs of using other inmates' phone privileges to contact potential victims and witnesses, allegedly to influence their testimony or shut them up. They've also claimed he tried to blackmail witnesses, comparing his actions to mob trials. DJ Academics discussed reports about how Diddy's allegedly been moving in detention.
Add this person to the call, add this person. Yo, like he's running the jail. So these inmates, I completely believe, and by the way, this is how the government paints it. He's getting them paid directly through what they call these cash processing systems.
Yeah.
So, probably tells his people, send her $1,000. Send his mom, send his girl, cool.
These allegations have been cited to deny bail repeatedly, with prosecutors arguing that Combs has shown he won't follow rules or conditions, creating more tension between the defense and the court and potentially making the judge side-eye their other arguments. Potential outcomes and the strategy's effectiveness. As the Diddy trial heats up and moves toward opening statement, the jury's still out on whether his defense team's in-your-face strategy will be a clutch play or an airball. While they've definitely got Judge Arun Subramanian and the prosecution big mad, this high-risk approach could either secure a W or backfire spectacularly. The defense is playing chess, not checkers, calculating every move between courtroom tactics, public perception, and behind-the-scenes maneuvers, but the endgame remains unclear. Judge Subramanian's growing frustration highlights the real struggle of handling high-profile cases in the social media era. When you've got extensive media coverage and celebrity involvement, the risk of outside noise influencing the jury gets amplified to 11. The judge's quick check of Garagos shows he's not playing when it comes to maintaining control and protecting the trial's integrity, but the defense keeps pushing boundaries like they're testing how far they can go before he snaps. The racial and gender dynamics Garagos brought up with his six-pack of white women comment add another layer of complexity to this already complicated situation. With Diddy's team suggesting he's being targeted as a black man, these sensitive issues become part of the subtext of the trial. Subramanian, being of South Asian descent, likely saw Garagos's remarks as not just unprofessional, but potentially inflammatory in a case that's already got race as an undertone. The defense's aggressive tactics, from public statements to delay requests, seem designed to shape the narrative both inside and outside the courtroom. However, Subramanian's ruling suggests he's not here for these extrajudicial games and wants to keep the focus on the evidence, not the hype. As one legal analyst put it, the judge seems determined to keep it a buck and focus on facts rather than all this extra noise, which might actually help the prosecution if the defense is banking on distractions. The whole situation with Garagos adds another weird dynamic. Since he's not officially on the defense team but still in the mix, his high-profile status and history of representing controversial figures might have him feeling himself a bit too much with those podcast comments. Subramanian's warning makes it clear that even sideline players need to watch their mouths, but this blurry line between official representation and informal advising lets the defense have their cake and eat it too, benefiting from controversial statements while maintaining plausible deniability. The most crucial factor in whether these defense tactics will actually work comes down to how strong the prosecution's case really is. While the defense has been working overtime to frame everything as consensual and discredit witnesses, prosecutors are sitting on what could be a mountain of evidence. DJ Academics, who's been following the case like a hawk, shared this take on the prosecution's potential evidence.
I'm only speaking as objectively as I can based on what we've seen so far. We don't have a superseding indictment. Superseding indictment is going to be key. And by the way, even thinking about Dirk's situation, we got a superseding indictment there quicker.
Yeah.
It's been a couple months. We didn't get a superseding indictment yet on Diddy.
The fact that no superseding indictment has dropped despite months of investigation has some people questioning whether the government's case is as airtight as they claim. Academics explained further.
Right now, currently, there is one victim, which is Cassie. It's very abundantly clear that's Cassie. They're claiming somebody else is a victim, which, by the way, they kind of told on themselves, which obviously I guess Diddy knows now in Discovery. They said there's a victim two, but here there's victim two. Apparently they said they haven't talked to victim two. They claim Diddy has made this victim two elusive to them, but they're claiming they're victim two.
However, Academics himself thinks a superseding indictment with more charges is coming that will strengthen the prosecution's hand.
Witness one sounds like Roger Bonds.
Might be.
So they have witness one. It sounds like someone, it was definitely a man. Sounds like someone that was employed. So I'm putting it towards Roger Bonds. It might not be. Witness two, 100% Kalina, okay? It mentioned the 128 calls after the grand jury subpoena. So, and these are the only witnesses they're mentioning so far. They're saying Roger Bonds, Kalina.
The defense's strategy of challenging evidence and procedural violations might be legit from a legal standpoint, but comes off looking obstructive. Combs' lawyers accused federal investigators of illegally searching his cell and snatching attorney-client privilege materials, claiming this violates his due process rights. While this is standard defense practice, it can look like they're just throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. The prosecution has been clapping back at these tactics by highlighting Diddy's alleged attempts to interfere with witnesses. Prosecutors claim Combs is using other inmates' phone privileges to dodge monitoring and has instructed family members to craft narratives that would influence the jury pool. If proven, these allegations could seriously damage the defense's credibility and reinforce the prosecution's portrayal of Diddy as someone who thinks rules don't apply to him. One media report detailed these allegations.
Well, I mean, I went through the filings and the reports. So what they say, according, to the feds, that recorded phone calls made by Diddy showed that he asked family members to reach out to potential victims and witnesses. Also urged them to create narratives to influence the jury pool. Also encouraged them to make marketing strategies to sway the public opinion. Diddy used the telephone accounts of at least 8 different inmates to avoid monitoring. He paid the inmates to intermediaries in violation of the rules, like you said, and he also was using 3-way calls and getting people on the phone, which is illegal.
These behaviors led prosecutors to argue that Combs has shown repeatedly, even while in custody, that he will flagrantly and repeatedly flout rules in order to improperly impact the outcome of the case. This directly contradicts the defense's portrayal of Diddy as someone who's cooperating and willing to face the music. The swinger defense is a bold strategy, but it's got serious risks. If jurors think the defense is just trying to normalize behavior that looks predatory or dismissing power dynamics, it could backfire hard. Prosecutors will likely emphasize the alleged coercion, drug use, and intimidation they claim made these events far from consensual encounters. Social media and public perception are major players in this case. Combs allegedly tried to control the narrative by orchestrating media campaigns, with prosecutors claiming he's had family members push crafted narratives online and in traditional media. The defense's push for gag orders on victims' attorneys could be seen as another control tactic, though they maintain it's about preventing prejudicial publicity. Even locked up, Combs has maintained his connections to the outside world. In March 2025, a jailhouse call between him and Kanye West leaked to the media. Leaks like this suggest Diddy still has pull even behind bars, potentially allowing him to shape public opinion. However, they also reinforced the prosecution's argument that he's still trying to operate like rules don't apply to him, even while locked up. The defense's rejection of a plea deal in April 2025 is a major gamble. By taking the case to trial, Diddy shows confidence but also risks life in prison if convicted. This move indicates either the plea offer was trash or his team genuinely believes they can beat the case. One persistent rumor making rounds online is that Diddy might try to leverage dirt on powerful figures to get a lighter sentence. Some suggest he's got compromising info on influential people that he could use as bargaining chips. However, there's no solid evidence backing these claims, and they often draw baseless comparisons to cases like Jeffrey Epstein's. SDNY prosecutors have a reputation for independence and have shown they'll go after powerful figures regardless of connection. The justice system itself makes some of the defense's more aggressive tactics difficult to execute. Federal judges like Subramanian are appointed for life and insulated from political pressure, making them less likely to be influenced by outside factors. The Southern District of New York has a rep for prosecuting high-profile figures without fear or favor, regardless of wealth or fame. Plus, the extensive media coverage ensures transparency, making covert influence plays nearly impossible. The defense's relationship with Judge Subramanian remains crucial. While judges aim to be impartial, human nature suggests that repeated confrontations, perceived disrespect, or attempts to game the system could influence judicial decisions on matters where the judge has wiggle room. The defense has to walk that fine line between going hard for their client and maintaining credibility with the court, a balance that's looking shakier with each new courtroom showdown. Some observers think a superseding indictment dropping new charges is the most likely next move, which would strengthen the prosecution's hand significantly. As DJ Academics noted,
Obviously, the government has much more in store, but, there's a lot more that's going to be told later on. So I'm going to reserve my judgment.
if this goes down, the defense might need to switch up their strategy from aggressively challenging evidence and procedure to actually addressing the allegations head on. This could ease tensions with Judge Subramanian, but would force them to confront aspects of the case they've been dodging. Timing is going to be major in how this all plays out. While the trial kicked off May 5th, 2025, legal analysts predict we'll see delays, possibly pushing everything into 2026. These delays could benefit either side, depending on how witness memories, public attention, and potential new evidence evolve with time. The defense's emphasis on how Diddy has been cooperating with authorities could turn into a double-edged sword. While his attorneys keep pointing out that he voluntarily flew to New York before his arrest, those allegations about witness tampering and breaking rules while locked up could seriously undermine this whole "he's being responsible" narrative. As we get closer to opening statements, we'll see whether the defense's strategy of frustrating Judge Subramanian and the prosecution actually moves the needle. While these tactics have created procedural headaches and media distractions, the big question remains: will they create enough reasonable doubt or just delay what prosecutors see as inevitable justice? Legal experts point out that despite all the defense's fancy footwork, the prosecution's case, built on RICO, victim testimonies, and hard evidence, remains solid. Looking at R. Kelly's case, where similar charges resulted in serious time, suggests that if the evidence slaps, all these procedural frustrations and media games might not matter much when the verdict drops. The most telling sign of whether the defense strategy is working will be Judge Subramanian's decisions on various motions and objections as the trial unfolds. While he's clearly frustrated with certain tactics, maintaining a fair process remains his top priority. How he balances keeping control with allowing vigorous defense could significantly influence where this case goes. All of a sudden, pictures like this one and this one have been getting leaked all over the internet, and they're exposing celebs like Stevie J, Jay-Z, J-Lo, Aaliyah, Young Miami, and Cuba Gooding Jr. Now everyone's thinking that it's just a coincidence, but remember when the judge rejected Diddy bail so that he wouldn't give his employees secret codes that could get him out of this mess again? Well, during the court hearing, Diddy passed some signs to his family members, and all of a sudden, it seems like the blackmail has begun. First, let me show what went down in court, cause Diddy might be a step ahead of us, y'all. Diddy pleads and rats out his friends. In a not-so-shocking turn of events, Diddy's bail has been rejected by the court. The reason this time? Disturbing text messages he sent to his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The latest chapter in Diddy's legal saga began earlier this year when he was arrested on charges of harassment and threats against his ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The charges stemmed from a series of disturbing text messages that Diddy allegedly sent to Cassie after their breakup. This was Diddy's second appearance in a New York City courtroom, and this time he appeared more sober and willing to apologize. Unfortunately for him, he would have to remain in prison until his federal trial on accusations of sex trafficking and racketeering. His second appearance in the court came after he proposed a $50 million bond sum to get out of the infamous Metropolitan Detention Center. However, the federal court rejected his plea. Diddy's attorneys argued before District Court Judge Andrew Carter that the rapper posed no threat to the public, but the judge rejected their motion, stating that there was no condition or set of conditions that would guarantee the community's safety or that he would not connect with witnesses. The rapper entered a not guilty plea to charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and providing transportation for prostitutes. In Diddy's defense, his lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, stated that his client is an innocent man with nothing to hide. In an effort to solidify their case that Diddy should remain in jail until his trial, the prosecution released purported text exchanges that he sent to his former girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. The text messages, which were presented as evidence in court, painted a troubling picture of Diddy's behavior. The text sent by Diddy to Ventura in court stated, "Call me. The cops are here. I got 6 kids. You, please call. I'm surrounded. You're gonna abandon me all alone." The text messages sent by Mr. Combs were explicit and threatening. Given the nature of the messages, we had no choice but to arrest him and charge him with harassment and threats. In the court, prosecutor Emily Johnson read out text messages from other alleged victims. While reading a text message from another woman who accused Diddy of dragging her by her hair down a hallway, the prosecutor stated that the victim told Diddy, "You always want to show me that you have the power and you knock me around. I'm not a rag doll. I'm someone's child." After reading the claims presented in Cassie Ventura's lawsuit in November, the prosecutor claimed that another alleged victim messaged Diddy, "I feel like I'm reading my own sexual trauma. It makes me sick how 3 solid pages word for word is exactly my experiences and my anguish." Diddy was initially granted bail, but the prosecution quickly moved to have it revoked. They argued that the text messages were proof of Diddy's dangerous behavior and that he posed a significant threat to Cassie and others. In cases like this, the safety of the victim is paramount. The text messages presented in court were damning, and the judge had to consider the potential risk to Cassie Ventura and others. After reviewing the evidence, the judge made the decision to deny Diddy's bail. The shocking text messages, combined with Diddy's history of legal troubles, were enough to convince the court that he should remain behind bars, and behind bars, he remains. While Diddy was trying to negotiate his freedom in the courthouse, people speculate that he might have name-dropped 1 or 2 of his celebrity friends. And anybody who knows Diddy knows that when he was on top of the world, there was no connection he didn't have. He was essentially a celebrity. In the early days, Diddy's parties were a mix of music industry insiders, rising stars, and established icons. The atmosphere was electric, filled with the energy of a burgeoning hip-hop scene and the glamour of Hollywood. These events were not just parties, they were cultural phenomena that brought together the biggest names in entertainment. Now, with the recent information unfolding, these parties had to have been some of the most perverse and vile events. Federal prosecutors claim the rapper organized and oversaw the sex parties, participating sexually while providing women with stimulants like ecstasy, ketamine, and BHB. According to the indictment, after the sexual encounters, the rapper and the women would often receive intravenous fluids to counteract the physical and drug-related effects. According to an unnamed federal official, attendees of the rapper's sex parties, mostly celebrities, were likely being recorded from all directions, including unseen vantage points. Given the rapper's extensive celebrity circle, there is speculation about the involvement of his famous friends. Justin Bieber, the pop sensation who shot to fame at just 15 years old, was mentored by Diddy during his early career. Despite the internet circulating rumors that Bieber may have been privy to some inappropriate things while in Diddy's circle, the pop star has remained silent about his relationship with the former mogul. Bieber's connection with Diddy dates back to his teenage years when he was first noticed by Scooter Braun and Usher, who were instrumental in launching his career. Following Diddy's arrest on sex trafficking charges, footage of him with a 15-year-old Bieber has been circulating online.
Starting to act different, huh? You ain't been calling me and hanging out the way we used to hang out.
Well, I mean,
Users online have branded the footage creepy, in which sees Diddy, who is 24 years older than Bieber, documents his 48 hours staying with the young singer. In the footage, Combs stands next to the young pop sensation and tells the camera, "He's having 48 hours with Diddy. Where we hanging out and what we're doing, we can't really disclose."
Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like you know, where we hanging out and what we doing, we can't really disclose.
Diddy then adds, I've been given custody of him. He's signed to Usher and I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album.
He did his first album, I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me, so,
Speaking of which, Usher himself has claimed he was exposed to some pretty wild stuff while living with Diddy, age 14. In an unearthed interview from 2016, the singer revealed details about his time living with Diddy in the spring of 1994. While appearing on the Howard Stern show, Usher alleged that it was record producer L.A. Reid's idea to have him live with the R&B singer in Scarsdale to see the lifestyle.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you over to something called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn
Flavor Camp?
Yeah,
Flavor
that's
Camp.
what it was called.
When asked if Diddy's place was filled with chicks and orgying nonstop by Stern, Usher said,
No, not really. I mean, but hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was, but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild.
As for whether he would send his children to Puffy Flavor Camp, Usher responded with an emphatic, hell no. Back in 2004, Usher told Rolling Stone that Diddy introduced him to a totally different set of sex, specifically. Sex is so hot in the industry, man, he continued. There was always girls around. You'd open a door and see somebody doing it, or several people in a room having an orgy. You never knew what was going to happen. Diddy was no stranger to the perverse lifestyle, and in Hollywood, Diddy parties have been a popular secret among most celebrities, and most of these celebrities are the reason why Diddy has gone uncaught for this long. Celebrities who enabled Diddy's crimes. As Diddy's influence grew, so did his circle of friends. One of the earliest and most significant connections he made was with Jennifer Lopez, dated Diddy between 1999 and 2001. At the time, Lopez was on the cusp of superstardom, having starred in her first major movie, Selena, in 1997. Their relationship was highly publicized, and the couple was often seen at high-profile events and parties. In 1999, Lopez and Diddy were arrested following a shooting at a nightclub in Manhattan. While Lopez was released without charges, the incident only added to Diddy's notorious image. Despite the allegations against him, Lopez remained silent, and her association with Diddy helped him maintain an air of legitimacy. Another early connection that played a crucial role in Diddy's ability to evade scrutiny was his friendship with Ashton Kutcher. In the mid-2000s, Diddy and Kutcher were so close that they touted themselves as the new Rat Pack, alongside actor Jamie Foxx, seen partying together and attending high-profile events. Kutcher told host Sean Evans that I've got a lot I can't tell about his friendship with Diddy. Some news sites have even claimed that Kutcher was expecting a subpoena about Combs' wrongdoing. Diddy's connections weren't limited to the entertainment industry. He also infiltrated the fashion world and even sent him that coveted Met Gala invitation. Their friendship extended to plenty of Vogue coverage for the rapper, who enjoyed regular features and photo shoots in the magazine for decades. Wintour's association with Diddy significantly boosted his acceptance into the upper echelons of the fashion world. Prince Harry is another surprising name on this list. The British prince has been photographed hanging with Diddy, giving the impression that Combs' power extends worldwide, with high-profile celebrities played a crucial role in his ability to evade scrutiny for his alleged crimes. Another notable example comes from the Kardashian family. The Kardashians, known for their immense influence and media presence, Kim Kardashian, Khloe Kardashian, and Kylie Jenner were photographed arm in arm with him as recently as 2019. Oprah Winfrey, the renowned talk show host, is another powerful figure who has been closely associated with Diddy. Oprah has been photographed with Diddy at numerous events, including the prestigious Met Gala. Her friendship with Combs further created a shield of powerful people around him. Oprah's silence amid the allegations against Diddy is particularly troubling, given her influence and platform. Oscar-winning actor Leonardo DiCaprio is another high-profile celebrity who has been closely associated with Diddy. DiCaprio was filmed dancing at Combs' 50th birthday party in 2019 and has been photographed with him several times over the years. Paris Hilton, the socialite and media personality, is another powerful figure who seemed to give Diddy her stamp of approval by attending his lavish parties over the years. As an abuse survivor and advocate for young people, Hilton's silence about the accusations against him is particularly troubling. She has posted about having an epic time hanging out at his house, but has said nothing about the serious allegations against him. Jay-Z, another rapper and mogul, has maintained a friendship with Diddy for years. Both of them emerged on the hip-hop scene around the same time and even evaded jail time in the same year, 1999. Later, each of them made entrepreneurship, philanthropy, and the fusing of luxury industries with hip-hop major facets of their personal brands. Jay-Z has regularly participated in charity events and performed on stage with Combs, and there's no shortage of photographs that show the two men sharing space over the last 30 years. Yet Jay-Z has never offered any public thoughts on the downfall of his friend. Rapper 50 Cent, in his taunting of Diddy, has noted that Jay-Z seemed to abandon Combs amid the allegations from his various lawsuits. Amongst all his influential celebrity friends and acquaintances, there is one name who is relatively uncowned, but pulls all the strings behind the scenes, his indispensable right-hand woman, Christina Coram. She joined Bad Boy Entertainment in 2013 as a senior executive, quickly making a name for herself with her sharp business acumen. Her rapid rise through the ranks was a testament to her ability to navigate the complex and cutthroat world of entertainment. By 2020, Coram had been appointed as the chief of staff at Combs Enterprises, a role that placed her directly at the helm of Diddy's vast business empire. Diddy himself publicly praised her on multiple occasions, highlighting her indispensable role in his operations. In a 2021 Facebook post, Diddy wrote, "She's been my right hand for the last 8 years and has consistently proven to execute and get things done. Don't know how I'd function without her." As the chief of staff, Coram's responsibilities were extensive and multifaceted. She was involved in overseeing various aspects of Diddy's business ventures, which included music, fashion, and media. Her role required her to be a master of coordination, ensuring that all elements of Combs Enterprises operated seamlessly. From managing high-profile events to handling intricate business negotiations, Coram was the linchpin that held everything together. Coram's relationship with Diddy was built on mutual trust and respect. She was not just an employee, she was a confidant and advisor. This close relationship allowed her to wield significant influence within the organization. Her ability to execute Diddy's vision with precision and efficiency earned her the nickname Right Hand, a title that underscored her importance in his professional life. However, as we delve deeper into Coram's role, a more complex and troubling picture begins to emerge. According to various sources and legal documents, Coram's responsibilities extended beyond the typical duties of a chief of staff. She was allegedly involved in activities that went far beyond the realm of legitimate business operations. In a federal indictment filed on September 2024, Diddy was charged with sex trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The indictment alleges that Diddy used certain employees, including high-ranking supervisors, to carry out, facilitate, and cover up his abuse and commercial sex rings. While Coram has not been arrested or charged with any crime, her name has come up repeatedly in connection with these allegations. A source involved in the legal proceedings described Coram as the gatekeeper, who would know everything about Diddy's operations. This source went on to say, if anybody is gatekeeper, Christina would know everything. According to the indictment, these high-ranking supervisors facilitated sexual performances dubbed freak-offs, which included sex workers and involved stocking hotel rooms with controlled substances, baby oil lubricant, extra linens, and specialized lighting. During raids at Diddy's mansions earlier this year, federal agents seized narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant. The evidence collected includes recordings, text messages, and names, with text from Christina Coram being part of the trove. This paints a picture of a highly organized operation where Coram played a crucial role. In a separate lawsuit filed by rapper Lil Rod, born Rodney Jones in February, Coram was described as the Ghislaine Maxwell to Sean Combs' Jeffrey Epstein. This lawsuit alleges that Coram ordered sex workers and prostitutes for Diddy and required Combs' domestic employees, including the butler, chef, and housekeepers, to carry a fanny pack with cocaine, GHB, ecstasy, marijuana gummies, and a pink drug called Tucci, a combination of ecstasy and cocaine. This allowed Diddy to indulge in his drug of choice at any time. Lil Rod's lawsuit also claims that Coram knowingly and intentionally participated in, perpetrated, assisted, supported, and facilitated a sex trafficking venture. As the chief of staff, Coram was allegedly instrumental in organizing and executing the racketeer-influenced and corrupt Organizations Act enterprise that Diddy was running. Despite these damning allegations, Coram has not been arrested or charged with any crime. She has also not returned requests for comment. Diddy's lawyers have filed requests for Lil Rod's lawsuit to be dismissed, calling it pure fiction and a shameless attempt to create media hype and extract a quick settlement. Attorney Erica Wolf told USA Today in August, Mr. Jones's lawsuit is pure fiction, a shameless attempt to create media hype and extract a quick settlement. Mr. Jones was not threatened, groomed, assaulted, or trafficked. We look forward to proving in a court of law that all of Mr. Jones's claims are made up and must be dismissed. What celebs do at Diddy's freak-offs. The story of Diddy's freak-off parties begins with a stark transition from his once celebrated white parties to the dark and scandalous gatherings that have now become the center of a serious legal storm. To understand the gravity of the allegations against Diddy, we need to take a closer look at the timeline and nature of these events and the role that celebrities played in them. Diddy's white parties were legendary in the entertainment world. These glamorous events, characterized by their strict all-white dress code, were attended by the who's who of Hollywood and the music industry. Held annually, they were known for their opulence, exclusivity, and star-studded guest lists. Celebrities like Jay-Z, Beyonce, and Kim Kardashian were regular attendees, and the parties were often the talk of the town. However, in 2009, Diddy decided to end these iconic gatherings, marking the beginning of a new, much darker chapter. Shortly after the last white party, Diddy began hosting what would later be known as freak-off parties. Unlike the white parties, these events were shrouded in secrecy and controversy. According to the indictment unsealed on September 17, 2024, these gatherings were far from the glamorous soirees that Diddy was once known for. Instead, they were filled with drug use, coercion, and explicit sexual activities. The indictment claims that Diddy used these parties as a means to exert control and power over his guests. The term freak-off appears 27 times in the indictment, underscoring the nature of these events. The parties were allegedly designed to create an environment where guests, including high-profile celebrities, could indulge in their wildest fantasies without fear of judgment or consequence. However, the reality was far more sinister. Diddy is accused of using force and threats to compel victims to participate in sexual activities, often involving multiple sex workers over several days. The indictment details how he distributed controlled substances such as ketamine and ecstasy to keep victims compliant. These drugs were not just recreational, they were tools of control, ensuring that the victims remained in a state of euphoria and submission. The role of celebrities in these events cannot be understated. Many high-profile figures from the entertainment industry were regular attendees at Diddy's freak-off parties. The allure of these gatherings was the promise of an exclusive, no-holds-barred experience where anything was possible. Celebrities were drawn to the hedonistic atmosphere, the abundance of drugs, and the opportunity to engage in explicit activities away from the prying eyes of the public. However, the involvement of celebrities also served another purpose. Their presence added an air of legitimacy and glamour to the events, masking the darker realities that lay beneath the surface. Indictment reveals that Diddy's staff played a crucial role in facilitating these parties. They were responsible for procuring the drugs, setting up the venues, and ensuring that everything ran smoothly. They also helped to enforce Diddy's rules and ensure that the victims complied with his demands. The parties were held in various locations, including luxury hotels and Diddy's own residence. These venues were lavishly decorated and equipped with all the necessary supplies, including an abundance of baby oil and lubricant. The atmosphere was one of excess and indulgence, with no expense spared to create the ultimate hedonistic experience. The legal repercussions faced by Diddy are nothing short of monumental. On September 17, 2024, the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York unsealed a 14-page indictment against him. The charges are severe, including sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, and transportation to engage in prostitution. If convicted on all counts, Diddy faces a potential life sentence. This indictment has sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry, drawing comparisons to other high-profile cases of exploitation and abuse. One of the most striking comparisons made by law enforcement is to Jeffrey Epstein. A Department of Homeland Security agent explicitly likened Diddy's actions to those of Epstein, suggesting a disturbing pattern of exploitation. Just like Epstein, Diddy is accused of using his wealth and influence to create an environment where he could control and exploit his victims. The hidden cameras, the distribution of drugs, and the use of blackmail all point to a calculated and systematic approach to abuse. The legal proceedings against Diddy have garnered significant media attention, reflecting the serious nature of the allegations. Diddy has pleaded not guilty to the charges and is currently in jail after being denied pre-trial release. The case is expected to be lengthy and complex, with numerous witnesses and pieces of evidence to be examined. The outcome of this trial will have far-reaching implications, not just for Diddy, but for the broader culture surrounding celebrity parties. One of the most shocking aspects of these parties was the presence of hidden cameras. These cameras were strategically placed to capture all the activities without the knowledge of the participants. The footage was then used by Diddy to blackmail victims into attending future events or to keep them silent about what they had experienced. This surveillance added another layer of control and exploitation, trapping the victims in a cycle of abuse and coercion. The comparison to Jeffrey Epstein is particularly damning. Epstein's case exposed a network of exploitation that spanned decades and involved numerous high-profile individuals. The similarities between Epstein's actions and the allegations against Diddy suggest that this is not an isolated incident, but part of a broader pattern of abuse within the world of celebrity culture. It's safe to say that any celebrity celebrity who is caught in any of the surveillance tapes could have a lot to answer. In fact, one celebrity has been spotted in a freak-off video circulating online, none other than Kevin Hart. Recently leaked footage reveals Hart caught on camera at one of Sean Diddy Combs' notorious freak-off parties. The video, which shows Hart hosting the wild event, has left fans and critics alike in disbelief. From a boozy N-word rant to a terrifying moment where a female partygoer's hair catches fire.
That's what I call it, a raw dog. I'm not jumping the tub myself. Once everybody gives out, it's just me and the lady. This is my move. I'm used to this type of thing. Doing what I do best.
The leaked video that has everyone talking begins with Kevin Hart in a setting that is far from his usual comedic stage. The footage shows Hart stationed next to a bathtub, holding a microphone and speaking directly to the camera. The atmosphere is anything but ordinary, with dim lighting and a party vibe that hints at the wild nature of the event. Hart's role in the video appears to be that of a host, guiding the audience through the night's events. A scantily clad female partygoer sits alongside him, adding to the scandalous nature of the scene. Hart's involvement in such a controversial setting is already raising eyebrows, but the footage only gets more shocking. In a terrifying moment, the hair of a female guest who is sitting in the bath behind Hart catches fire from one of the candles placed around the tub. The panic is palpable as Hart immediately tells the camera crew to cut, but the footage continues, showing the comedian's quick reaction to ensure the girl's safety. Hart's attempt to lighten the mood with a joke about safety measures does little to quell the shock of the moment. The incident highlights the chaotic and dangerous environment of the freak-off party, raising serious questions about Hart's judgment and involvement. As the video progresses, Hart's behavior becomes even more controversial. Standing next to Diddy, who is holding a drink, Hart unleashes a boozy N-word rant at the camera. The use of such offensive language, combined with the presence of Diddy, who is currently facing serious legal charges, only adds fuel to the fire. Although the footage is relatively tame, Kevin Hart's involvement in this scandal, particularly given the nature of the freak-off party and Diddy's legal issues, could expose him to various legal risks. It's a precarious situation that could have long-lasting effects on his career. For Kevin Hart, the fallout from this scandal could range from harmless to devastating. As the public and legal scrutiny intensifies, the future of most of Diddy's celebrity friends could hang in the balance.